Charles Fuller was a board member and leader of the Musgrave Foundation since its inception in 1983. On his watch, more than $13 million has gone to nonprofit organizations in southwest Missouri. Charles was Jeanette Musgrave's personal attorney and was one of only 2 current board members who knew her before she died in 1984. A considerable portion of Musgrave grants have gone to serve underprivileged children.
Nothing would have been closer to her heart than dealing with very small children. She had no children of her own, but she loved children, and evidenced by the fact that she created several, helped the boys work throughout the city, but established actually a youth center in the northwest part of town that bears her name.
During Charles's life, he served on the board of many local civic and charitable organizations. He saw firsthand the multitude of needs within our community, which gave him a unique perspective on nonprofit leadership.
You know, all of us are impacted by people's needs. Somehow that's the heart that I think we have as a people and as a nation. We've always been responsive to human need, not only locally, but throughout the world. And I think there's a real need in this country today. And it really involves not only adults, but it involves children. It involves people of all age groups and actually from all economic groups, because there's many people who have done well in years past that suddenly find themselves in desperate need. Families that never thought they would be asking for help now need help, and many of them are hesitant to even ask. But somehow that's what has made the work of foundations and civic groups and church groups extremely important. Things are happening today that have disrupted the lives of people in ways that they've never been disrupted during my lifetime, except during the Great Depression, which I sensed a part of. So it's a matter of all of us working together and being attuned to the problem and knowing that it exists in various forms that can be very subtle. If we see the man on the park bench or sleeping under the local viaduct, we know that he has need, but the need can be just as true in that well-dressed child that's in a schoolroom, that left a home that had bare cupboards, no food on the table. So we have a big job to do, and it's going to require a lot of us if we address this job and effectively meet the need that certainly is the heart of compassionate people.
Charles Alonzo Fuller Jr. was born in December 1925 in Joplin, Missouri. He spent his early years in Kansas City and northwest Arkansas. As a young man, he enlisted during World War II and served in the Pacific Theater. After returning from the military, he began his graduate work, receiving his Juris Doctorate from UMKC. His successful business career included managing a local insurance firm, starting the trust department at what is now U.S. Bank, and finishing his career as an attorney at the law firm of Neal & Newman. Among his many interests was the Businessmen's Fellowship, where he was a founding director, and he traveled extensively to Eastern Europe, bringing a message of hope to people who had been forcibly separated from their faith. The scope of Charles's compassion extended across the globe to the Bethel Mission in Kolar Goldfields, India. Through his leadership, the Roy W. Slusher Foundation of Taney County contributed $160,000 to Bethel Mission over a span of 3 decades. Water wells and toilet facilities were among the many projects funded at the mission. Following his death, a new dormitory on their compound was named after Charles. November 15th was celebrated at the mission as Charles A. Fuller Memorial Children's Day. 200 children participated in the event. Designated funds were also sent to the mission to provide new outfits and Christmas gifts for the children and staff during the upcoming Christmas season. Charles would have been so pleased to see photos of the children celebrating Christmas. After learning of Charles's death, the Reverend Frank Godberg, longtime leader of the Bethel Mission, sent a message to be read at his funeral by Charles's dear friend, Jerry Redfern.
Dear Mr. Redfern, it's with a saddened heart that we receive the news on your behalf from Madam Jeanette, the passing away of Mr. Charles Fuller, our great friend. We deeply mourn his departure, along with our children of the Children's Home, in India. Mr. Fuller has been a wonderful friend and well-wisher of our work done through the children for the past 33 years or more. He came into our lives when we were in a desperate situation, not able to feed our orphanage children who were under our care. He has been such a great help in times of our need, when we struggle to carry on the work to care for the children whom the Lord has placed in our hands. Mr. Charles will be remembered by us and by our children, who have grown and gone on to be worthy citizens of India. May his soul rest in peace.
Charles was a visionary. Years before the Every Child Promise focused a spotlight on our community's desperate need for quality preschool education, Charles was leading the Musgrave Foundation in establishing the Lighthouse Child and Family Development Center. Over $1.5 million has been invested in 3 Lighthouse locations, which stand as a beacon in early childhood education.
I can't hear you.
So if you have a love for children, and most people I think deep down do, you're going to figure out ways that you can redeem as many of them as possible. And this is just a project to redeem children. We're talking about, David, we're talking about children who aren't going to make it. They're not going to make it unless we help. That's a rather moving thought, really. When you can affect the lives of young people that would otherwise not make it. And we'll do that. We will afford some young people an opportunity and a life that wouldn't otherwise have it.
Seeing Charles interact with his grandchildren was something to behold. His love of family and community were evident for all to see. He will be dearly missed and never forgotten.
Here's grandchildren that have all the opportunity in the world. Parents, both of them teachers, parents who love the Lord, and parents who will train them up in the way they should go. I think of all the children that maybe don't have all that opportunity. And so that's a little bit of what we're all about, providing opportunity for those who won't have it otherwise. We'll find them and we'll do it. We'll carry out a project to the glory of God.